There we are. So, welcome everybody. This is Indie Authors Cafe, and we do lots of different events. We're actually still online. We have been running events for almost 10 years. And we're going to be having our 10-year celebration in person in Largs at the end of June. So if anybody is kind of in the near vicinity of Largs, somewhere in the kind of within Scotland anyway, you'd be more than welcome to come and join us on Sunday the 26th. We're going to be putting out the event details very soon. But in the meantime, we're still online. And the beauty of that is that we get to talk to people that are not just local in Scotland, but all over the world. So it would be good if you want to share with us in the chat where you are tonight, because there's a few people on the call that I don't know. So let us know where you are in the world, because that's always a good thing to see. I'll just open the chat box here for me so that I can keep a wee eye on. So. Yep, so Deborah's, Yorkshire lass living in Kirkentilla. So nice to see you, Deborah. You're going to get a wee plug later on. I'm going to be talking a little bit about different books. So Isla's in North Berwick. You're not too far away either then. So it's a nice part of the world. Gin's in Edinburgh. Who else have we got? Let's see. Don't be shy. Tell us where you are. It's always good to kind of do a little sound check for around the world. The last time we had Indie Authors Cafe, it was on a Sunday morning, and I had a chap who'd kind of joined us from Australia because the time suited him. You know, it was like one of those, okay, that we didn't know before. So what we're going to do this evening is have a chat about the opportunity to grow your business by publishing a book. And there's lots of different ways that you can actually do that. Most people might think about you kind of being maybe a therapist or a coach or a trainer or something, because that's a real surefire way of trying to kind of elevate your
Keith,
status. Well, it's actually Anne, I think that's here, is in Largs, coming up as Keith. But we've got a number of different books. I'm going to just give you a little kind of flavour of how people have actually grown their business and used a book to raise their profile for their business. So we're going to be talking to Jen a wee bit more detail about her experience. But I just wanted to share a few of the books that I've just pulled off the bookshelf. We really need to tidy this bookshelf. If you see it behind me, it's like it starts off in alphabetical order, and I'm forever pulling out books, and before you know it, it's like they're all just stuck in there higgledy-piggledy. And that's going to be your job when you're back at work next week. fix out the bookshop, the bookshelves. So here we have 4 in a series. These books are started off with this one, The Pride of the Lions. So Derek Niven, otherwise known as Derek Bogard and John McGee, depending on which name he's actually using at the time, is a genealogist. And he also had a love of football. So he decided the first book that came out was The Pride of the Lions, and he was actually researching the Celtic Lisbon Lions football team to look at their life stories and their family histories. Because the interesting thing about these chaps were that they actually, the 16 players that were there all kind of came within a very short stretch of area, in terms of their family location. So he did this first book and went through going through their family histories. It was really popular. People loved it. So then, of course, he had to then go to the other side of the city. So you had a Celtic one, and then we had the Pride of the Bears, which is actually about the team that won the European Cup Winners' Cup in Barcelona. So that was so again, he did the same thing, looking at those people and their family histories. We've got the Pride of the Jocks, which is the Scotland football managers, and the Pride of the Hearts, which is recently the Hearts football team. And so what you've got right away, you can see, here we are, nice little section of books. He sells very well in Waterson's bookshop. But it's a way for John actually to grow his business, because he's also had then requests for people looking for him to do some genealogy work and some family history stuff. He also writes other things. He writes sci-fi and sort of fantasy stuff. So interesting, chap who just likes to write, but that was a deliberate choice to kind of go down that route. So it's more of a kind of businessy feel, but maybe something that you hadn't considered. We've then got a quick scan through the magical mix of money and tax. So Helen Monaghan, some of you might have met Helen at some of our events. Helen is an accountant who actually now has got an online program called the Financial Resilience Hub, I think it's called. So she is, she's got a great passion for helping people, not just to do their accounts in their business, but to really understand how money works for them. And she'd done a couple of books before, but she came and she did this one with us. So 12 solutions to manage your accounts, tax and money to bring balance to your life. So here we have an accountant who's also got, some books to her name, and that helps kind of raise her profile and gives her something to share as well. If she's out doing talks or she's got potential clients, she's got a book that she can share. Then I wanted to do a quick look. So here's one I definitely think I should be reading more and kind of like rather than just having it sitting on the shelf. So Rosie, the easy life from chaos to calm with minimal effort. I can usually manage the calm to chaos with minimal effort. I think that's maybe should write the alternative one. But Rosie is a personal organizer. So she had put together a book, with step-by-step guides for everybody. It's got colour photographs and things in it as well. And a great source for people who are looking to work with her, because obviously she does one-to-one services. They can now see that she's got a book. We've got just got a quick through. We've got homeschooling book, which is again very popular. It has been through COVID. Somebody writing about how to homeschool. We've then got a few of the more kind of, I suppose, maybe things that we were talking about at the start, sort of things that are person-centred. Alison Mackenzie's, Heartitude book. Faith Cantor, she's written quite a few with us. Loving Yourself Inside Out. So kind of her focus then of her business is actually helping you in terms of your mental and physical well-being. We've got Annabelle, again, Roots for Growth. Anna's a coach. So Anna using her business skills and in terms of her coaching to kind of share her knowledge in a book as well. So again, you've got something that she can sell at events if she's doing talks and raises her profile. What about somebody who actually is a wedding celebrant she's done a book. So Jane Patmore wrote a book about celebrating your love with all the different ways in which you could actually organise your wedding ceremony. And she's been out and used that again to kind of raise her profile. There's not very many other kind of celebrants who've actually written a book, so that helps her stand out. And then we've got two big books sitting here. Two of our biggest ones we've ever produced, actually. We've got, if it could sell by weight or pages alone, look at this. Setting Out for Construction by the absolutely wonderful Saffron Grant. Just an amazing woman, great friend of ours, who has really helped lots of people then in the construction industry to figure out how they can do this better, because they weren't really getting trained properly. And huge book, very, very technical, but she's on a mission now to sell these in universities and colleges and really grow her business. She's doing a lot of work on digital work in the construction industry, but even having the book just raised her profile. It kind of gave her a bit of a step up. And then last but not least for this evening, our very own woman on the call this evening, Deborah Murphy, with her Magical Tea Room on the Hill. And Deborah's book full of gluten and dairy-free recipes and her stories in amongst that as well. And this is, here she is. She's now writing some stories about Beatrix the dog. So look out for that next. So there we go. A quick run through of some of the books that we would kind of call possibly something that would raise your profile in your and business. So what do you think of that then, folks? Anything in there inspire you? And if you've got questions or comments, by all means, just put them in the chat facility. We will have an opportunity to hopefully ask some questions as we're going along this evening as well. So maybe that's given you a little bit of inspiration then to see what is possible. And it would be good to know, out of the people that are on the call tonight, has anybody got something written already that they're thinking about publishing? Or are you just kind of thinking about, I'm kind of curious, I've always kind of thought I could maybe write a book, but I don't quite know where to start? Or have you got somebody sitting here, I've got one already? Let us know in the comments, because we're going to pick up on some of this and we'll, as we're going along. So what I'd like to do now, because we've got an absolutely wonderful guest who's going to come on and talk about her experiences, and I'm going to ask her a few questions. So I'm going to invite the very, very lovely Lalli. Here we are, wonderful book. She's going to come on stage with me. This is where, if I was actually physically in a room, we would have her rushing onto the stage alongside me. I'd give her a big hug and we'd be like, yeah, here we are. Now, we can't quite do it on Zoom, but we're going to try our best. So I'm going to add a pin to you. Did it hurt, Jen? I've just pinned you as well.
Ouch.
So thank you so much for coming to join me this evening.
Thanks for asking me.
And we're going to have a little chat about your experiences with your book.
Yeah.
So first of all, what did it feel like for you when you actually got that book in your hand for the first time?
It was really surreal. It's still a bit surreal. Like, to have an actual book like in your hand that you've written, and it's not a pamphlet. It's not something you got printed at the printers. It's got, even my friend said when she turned over, she goes, oh, it's got a barcode and everything, Jim. So that makes it real. But you know what I mean? An actual book. It's still, it was surreal when I first got it, and it's still surreal, to be very honest with you, Kim. When people call me an author, or they'll say, oh yeah, my friend's an author. I'm like, who are you talking about? Like, we're talking about you, Jim. So yeah, it's surreal. It still is. Yeah.
And that, using that word author, though, because people do recognize that if you add author, and if you look at people's profiles, whether it's on LinkedIn or if they're doing speaking or anything, they'll often start with author and then whatever else that they do. Have you done that yet? Have you got author first yet?
No, it's not first. It took me ages to put it at the end as well, because again, feeling surreal. But I think what you're saying by adding author to your profile is you're saying, I am so confident about my subject. I am so knowledgeable about my subject that I've put it in a book. Yeah. I'm standing by what I know.
Yeah.
And I am happy for anyone to read it.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying by being an author.
Yeah.
And that didn't hit me until after I'd written it, until I had it in my hand. I was like, oh my God, like, so people are actually going to read this now. So that's what you're saying, aren't you? That as someone's put, Keith's put, author has the authority. That's exactly it. You're the authority.
Yes.
And I am so confident in what I know that I wanted to put it in a book to share it with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
And you did a great job. And that's the thing, is, you did a really good job. And I think it's a way, I think, for people to get to know you. If people find the book first, they also get to know you. At a level that just looking at a website or your social profiles, they don't really they can get some insight to you. But I think when you're reading that, because it is like sitting, in therapy room with you at times, I'm kind of going, oh right, okay, yeah, here we are. This is where we're going. So it really was a good probably opener for people to come to you.
Yeah, for sure. So I was doing my social media, people knew about me. It's the whole, they say in business, someone, then you like someone, then you trust someone.
Yeah.
So I had this, people were aware of me, and then it was only, I didn't have anything in between. It was like you either then came onto my full program and you came on board with me.
Yeah.
And I needed this thing in between to say, well, yeah, I'm ready to share my knowledge. This is actually what I do. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to ask me questions. And remember, I'm helping people with anxiety and stress.
Yeah.
They're too anxious to ask questions, but they want, as we all do these days, we want content, we want information. So what is this about?
Yeah.
And the easiest way to do that is to read a book. So you know that if you're interested in someone, you look for a book. If they've written a book, you're like, yeah, I'm buying that.
Yeah.
That's how you're finding more about them and what they do.
Yeah.
So it gave me that in between bit to say, yeah, you can find out more about me this way as well.
Yeah, so that's it. So there's an easy access route, something that, again, it's not an expensive outlay for somebody to kind of just get to just find out and really kind of decide whether
it's no obligation, is it? Like you're not booking a call with me. You're not saying, oh, Jen, can you give me a bit more information? You can do it anonymously. You've just bought my book from wherever and you're reading up on it, and then you might be intrigued a little bit more. Yeah. But again, it might take time. So being very aware that this was a book for people with anxiety and stress. Yeah. That's the reason I wrote it as well, the way that I did.
Yeah. Yeah. That was it. Because we talked early on about how you didn't, there was no way you were going to write a book this thick.
No. I couldn't. It's not in me as well. But on the other hand, I think the very first draft I had was only about 12,000 words. And I didn't know what that looks like in a book with a spine. Yeah. So I remember saying to you, well, I've got this. I think it's all right. And you went, Jim, that's about a pamphlet. That's just like a brochure. You're going to have to do more. I was like, okay, let me do more. And I wanted to do more without waffling. So that guidance from you was brilliant to turn it into a book. And the feedback I've had. So yeah, I will, when I first got it, I was like, oh my God, I did all those words. And it didn't look like a thick book to me. Yeah, because you can't envision it. Like, how thick is this book going to be? But the feedback I've had is people said, oh, love it. I read it in 2 days. It's great. That's what I wanted to read. Just straight to the point, Jen. And I remember when I was writing it, I was like, I'm not writing words for waffle here to fill it. Yeah. That's what I used to do at uni to get to the, whatever it was, 10,000 word thing in your dissertation. You padded it out. But I was like, I was really like passionate about not padding this out. Yeah. I was like, I've just got to get to the point, but what else can I write about that's worthwhile? Yeah, exactly. So what's been the impact then for you? I'm walking around Edinburgh with my sunglasses on, hoping someone will spot me, but that hasn't happened yet.
Stop me in the street and say, please, are you this? Can you sign
it? I'm waiting for that. I'll let you know when that happens, kid. But it hasn't happened yet. But the credibility. People are like, oh, you've written a book, or I know I've had people say, oh, do you know Jane? Yeah, she's written a book, so just read her book first. And you can see the look on people's faces. All right, there's a book on a subject. Yeah. She's an author. Yeah. So, there's lots of people who do what I do. There's lots of therapists, but it's getting that book written and putting it out there. So the credibility just elevates you a little bit, just that fraction above everyone else. Yeah. And it's just that thought in other people's mind. And I'm putting myself in people who I admire. And if I've written a book, I'm like, oh, wow, how clever are they? How clever, how confident are they? How hard have they worked to write that book? And I want to know more. And I see them as the expert in their field. And I still can't imagine people see me as the expert in my field. Like I said, I'm still getting used to that authority by being an author. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I've shown. What I've been really surprised at is therapist colleagues and student therapists buying my book. So it's apparently on the student reading list now as well. Because I was really surprised. So it's now I wasn't going to write a textbook. Yeah, it has gone down as a recommended reading on the student solution focused therapist reading list. Ooh. And I've had loads of feedback, and loads of them have got in touch and followed me and said, want to learn more from me as well. So again, like that's, oh wow. So I know enough to teach other people now as well. Yeah. So does that start to open up like different avenues for you that you hadn't considered before? Yeah, so I'm getting asked more to be on panels. Right. I'm getting asked more to be. So I've always done a little bit of media work, like radio and TV. Yeah. But I'm getting asked more as well, and I'm going to send my book off to Chris Evans. Is my next thing that I'm sending. So it's going to get packaged off to Chris Evans and Nihal on 5 Live as well. You never know. Might as well give it a go. Yeah, exactly. It's the ultimate business card. Yeah. And then I'm getting recognized more in areas I really wanted to get into. So like diversity and inclusion in mental health spaces. So I'm seen as the expert in that, written an book. And I've been asked to speak, and I've been introduced as psychotherapist and author Gin Lalli. So just put it, psychotherapist and author. Like it's just got such a great ring to it. As well. So what I feel now is, before, when I started my business, I was trying to get out there and meet people and network, and which we all do, don't we? And here, this is what I do. What I feel now, that the tide has turned and people are coming to me. So they've heard about me. Someone's told them about me. They're like, and so that was happening before. People were telling other people about me, but now it's like, oh, well, you're an author as well, right? This is another level now. As well. And I'm really proud of that. So it was worth all the hard work. Do it. Everyone's got something to write about. So there's that phrase, isn't it? Everyone's got a book in them, but I finished that off by, but you got to get it flipping written. That's the hard work bit.
That's the thing. As we all say, you cannot edit a blank page, folks. So you do need to start and write somewhere. You've got, you've got an idea or something, you have to start writing it. So you've got this, let's say, so it's helped kind of lift your profile. You've got people kind of like talking to you. I remember early on you saying that as well, your sort of therapy practice had just suddenly kind of like boomed as well. It was kind of, you were full, quite quickly then. I've
got a waiting list at the moment. As well. So I send my book out to clients, so they get a signed copy of my book. I always used to send them books, but I used to send them from other people. Like, Chimp Paradox and that kind of thing. Like, why am I not sending them my own book? And it is literally the handbook to my therapy. And that's what made it easy for me to write in the end. Once I clicked, I'm just going to do that. What I do in my 10-week program, I'm going to put that down onto paper. One-to-one clients, definitely. But my aim when I started my business was, I always wanted to be, at least in Edinburgh, if not in Scotland, the first name that comes to mind when people think of stress management. Whether you come to me as a client or not, that's not what I want. But I want people to think, Gin is the expert in that. You need to speak to Gin Lalli. And like I said, it's not about getting loads of clients. It's about just being known as the expert, asked an opinion.
So you then have an opportunity to influence the conversations that go on. That's the thing. I think that's one of the strong points of then, when you've got that book, like I say, that authority status allows others to come in and talk to you, and you, like I say, get invited onto more panels and things, but it helps you to kind of shape some of the discussions that you might have wanted to have had, want to be out in the public arena, but you've not been able to yet, So and like you said, now you kind of being seen as an expert in certainly the diversity and inclusivity kind of stuff. That's great as well. You start to open up stuff that maybe just hadn't really been talked about in the same way.
That's been brilliant. So knowing that you've got that influence, you have got, like Keith was saying, the authority to say it. Like, I've got authority to say that now. People are listening. So I know, like, if I think there's a few people here, you run your own business, you know what it's like. You go to a networking and there's 3 other people there that do the same thing as you. So like, how do you differentiate yourself? And all I do now is say, I hold this up. And I say, and I always say, like, if I go to a networking, I brought my card machine, don't worry. Like, I've got my card machine. I've bought 10 copies. You can buy some off if you want, and I'll sign it.
See, but you've got a bonus, is that yours not too bad. You see, we said this to Deborah Murphy. Make sure you've got a copy of that book, your book with you now. You know. Deborah has to have a really big bag when she's going out anywhere.
Trolley case.
So small and beautiful is actually easy to kind of carry around with you. You can have 10 copies. So what's next for you then, or what? I'm curious as to, is there some other things kind of open up, and where are you aiming to get to next then with their book?
World domination. No, not really. So people are already asking me, when's the next book? Or I've read that one, when's the next one? I haven't got the energy. I've gone great writing this one. So when's the next book? So just raising my profile. Now, I don't want to have other therapists work for me. That was never in my game plan. But that whole ease of me sitting back and people are coming to me, turnaround in business, that's been the biggest thing for me, because everyone on here who runs their own business will know it's hard work.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard work going out there, saying who you are. This is what I do. You know your subject and you know your product, whether it's a service or a product, it works. How do you get people coming to you?
Yeah.
And so now, like I said, that whole tide has turned. I am sitting back and the inquiries are really just coming in themselves. As well. And everything I write now on social media, and you know, anything that I do is flagged and shared, and people comment a lot more, and it's seen a lot more. So it's given this kickstart to this, you know, social media wheel as well. So my social media profile was okay before, but now it's taken on another level. It's gained lots of momentum because of the book.
Yeah. And I remember when around the time that the book was coming out, because everybody wants to celebrate with you as well. So people are happy to, you know, to share stuff. And, you know, so I remember just seeing you, it was like, particularly I think LinkedIn, it was just like ping, 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 ping. And there was like, if it wasn't you, there was somebody else sharing something. And it was just like, oh, it's almost like it's Jen today. It's like, she's everywhere. So, I
was very, very strategic about that, I will say. So people who I had done a talk for, all my clients, they all got copies of my book complimentary. So people who I had worked for, and because they knew I was writing a book as well. So I sent it all out to them, and I didn't even ask them to share it on social media, but they did. They were like, "Oh, this is great, Jen. It's really good." So just, you know, that they did my marketing for me at that point. So that's exactly what happened as well.
And that's a great piece of advice for anybody else who's sitting here just now either thinking about launching a book, or they've got something even they want to kind of start to play around with, because it's that element of it's a bit like you said, when you're starting a business, people have still got to find your book in the same way as they have to find you, you know, when you're running your own services or whatever. And if you have that team of people around you who absolutely love you anyway, they're the ones that know you, like, and trust you already, and you are, you know, sometimes it might even be an ask, you know, because sometimes people just need to be asked, because it's not that they wouldn't want to do it, just they don't think to do it. But, you know, that whole way of having that sort of lined up to really start. So you already had your community, you had a lot of people and a lot of support around you. Where it's hardest, I think, for folk who are putting a book out there for whatever reason, is when they think that they'll wait until they've got the book and then they start to do the sort of market. Now I'm going to try and find people who want to buy it. So your market. I was marketing my book before I'd finished it. And I remember doing like a little poll when you gave me the choice of design covers. I put that out as a poll. Which one do you like? And it was creating the buzz. So you have to create the buzz before you've written the book. Don't wait until you finish the book. And I think actually, so I had an idea to write a book, you know, a few years ago, but I think my timing was right. You know, the fact that I procrastinated a bit about it actually did me some favors, because in the meantime, I was building the following. So once you get the following, then they do the work for you. So, but your marketing starts before you've even written the book. So there you are, folks. If you're sitting here, you're all going to be going out for here now telling people that you're going to be writing the book.
Tell people, and then you're going to hold yourself accountable as well. People will say to you, "When's the book? When's the book out? When's the book
coming?" Oh, I've got how many? I've got 3 pages written, but I'm still working. So that's great. Is there any advice that you would give to anybody? You know, thinking back over what you were doing and the whole process of everything, is there any advice you would give to somebody who was kind of sitting there just now thinking, right, okay, I want to do it, other than write, because obviously that's
it's hard work. Don't underestimate that. It was really hard work, emotionally as well, quite draining, you know. And the brakes went on for me a couple of times as well. Like I had some barriers, had to knock those down and got through it. But my advice is, just do it. But that sounds like too easy. But think of your whole product. So I have seen people, like, self-publishing is the way to go. So I don't know if anyone knows this story, but I pitched my book to publishers first, and I got loads of rejections. Some people didn't get in touch at all, and I had 2 publishers then that got in touch. And then they were asking questions. Oh, well, what about this chapter? And what about that? And so I was like, oh, this is exciting. And then it got to the point that I felt like I was asking them permission to publish my book.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just stopped the conversation there. I was like, that's fine. No worries. I'll self-publish it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, I'm not asking you permission to publish this book. It's getting published. Mm-hmm. My clients want it. My friends and family want it. So I'm publishing it. I don't want to do a book signing in central London at Waterstones.
Yeah.
I want to put a book out for my topic and my subject. So self-publishing is the way to go. If you've got something to say it, get out there and say it. No one can stop you as well. Yeah. The second thing I'd say is I have seen a lot of self-published books where people have just uploaded to Amazon, which is great, nice and easy. They've got a template and everything, but it's such a shame because it looks amateur. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you've got to think of your whole product and your whole brand. This is your brand. Yeah. And I've read some of those books and the content, Kim, is amazing.
Yep.
I've read books from people, the content's amazing, but you can see they've designed a cover from Canva. Mm-hmm. The typeset and the font's not quite right. It doesn't come out on the Kindle because it's just a PDF and you can't read it. Mm-hmm. All of that counts. Yeah. All of it. It counts just as much, if not more, than your content. So it's the whole product. And that's where, like, I can't thank you and Sinclair enough. I had huge problems with Amazon. I was locked out on my account. I couldn't get back in, loads happening, and he just took care of it. And he actually told me step by step what to do. He goes, no, you need to log into this, Jen. Mm-hmm. Log into that, just give me that code and I'll do it. Mm-hmm. And so the whole product is why it looks the way it looks. And the things you have to think about, I didn't even realize, the paper. What paper do you want? What font style do you want? How do you want the tops to go? What about, the formatting? Yeah. I've seen self-published books where people have done it themselves. Great. It's not a problem if that's what you want. Yeah. And the other thing as well is the way you do it, Kim, is people have asked me, how come your book's available in Waterstones? I'm like, well, yeah, because it is. You know what I mean? So like the way that, because you do it through Ingram Spark, the way that you do it. So it's not just, everyone thinks self-publishing is Amazon. Yeah. Uh-huh. And I'm not a fan of Amazon at all. So I wanted it available at other places and have choice. Yeah. So when you can say your book is available at WH Smith's and Waterstones, again, credibility. Yeah. Yeah. So that's, it's really good. Yeah. Self-publish is the way to go. Saves you time, saves you money. And it's your baby. And that's what I loved, Kim, when you said, I'm not messing with any of your content. Mm-hmm. It all looks good. Yeah. That all looks really good. But just, all the editing, the words, that was all. You didn't say about anything else. Whereas other publishers, they then, is that right? They own your content, don't they? Yeah, yeah. And that's the fundamental difference between self-publishing and traditional kind of publishing, is that a traditional publisher will basically own they buy your copyright, they buy the rights to publish your book, and it becomes their book. That's what the contract is. They've taken ownership. Yeah. So which is fine for some. I mean, if you're writing fiction and you want to go to a publisher and have somebody else do it, then that's fine. Obviously, we publish fiction as well, so we would always argue, why would you really want to? But that's but particularly if you're doing a book that's connected to your business. Because it's so, like you said, it's so important that you can have it the way that you want your words to come out. Yeah, we've supported you around, the kind of edit and given you a few things that we've that I will check on or question sometimes, but essentially it's got to be your content, and you have got to love that book, because it's going, like I said, it's got to be as professional as your business is. Yeah, and that's the gap as well. When somebody does self-publish and do it themselves, it doesn't necessarily show up as that. They might think it looks great until you stand beside them and they're going, okay, you've got a back. So that's what it was. The whole look of it, the feel of it, and even people say like the texture of the front, the cover. They're like, that's really good. So it's the polish, and I knew right from the beginning it's got to be polished. Mm-hmm. And it's got to look good. I'm really, really pleased with it. Yeah.
Excellent. That's great. And I think for anybody who is watching this just now or watching it on replay, if you've got questions about, whether self-publishing is the way to go, if you want to, kind of come in and have a conversation with me just about, what's useful for your book, Nikki's going to put the link into the chat as well, for that you can just book a free call, because, I do a free half hour it never usually ends up with just a half hour because I end up learning for much longer. But anyway, free half hour to have a chat with you just about what, like how we could help you and what's useful. I mean, the other thing that I love to do, because I love how does this book fit in with your business? So this is why it's never just about the book for me. It is so much about you, particularly when you're doing something that's going to kind of lead into other things. Wanting to kind of figure out, so what did you want it to do? Have you got an online program that you're going to kind of take people to after this? Is it about getting on the speaking circuit? Is it about running workshops? Because although the content could be the same and the style's going to be the same, I really like them to have an understanding of that, so that there may be things that we would then suggest or recommend as we're going through the process of putting the book together. Because it can do all sorts of things for you. So well done. I mean, it's great. I mean, you've been a joy to work with as well, Jen, can I say? It's been an absolute pleasure.
Even when I've been annoying you with all those silly questions. Oh, Kim, what do I do now?
No, that's the thing, that there's no such thing as a silly question.
I know, you never made me feel silly, but I felt like I was pestering you a lot.
and that probably is one of the factors about self-publishing. You nailed it then, saying, because people think now it is easy to do it on Amazon, right? Because they've got a template, so you go on and you just put stuff in, and if that's what you want to do, you can upload your book to Amazon and there it is. But it's almost those things about what you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. And Amazon is for self-publishing for people who are not involved in the publishing industry. Yeah. Because they don't do things the same way. Amazon don't do things the same way as anybody else. They just like to be completely on their own. And it's a great marketplace to sell your book. Don't get us wrong. We can love it and hate it in equal measure. But, so having your book up there, as we do anyway, getting it up on Amazon so that it is available there. But bookshops, they won't stock your book if it says printed by Amazon on it. Yeah. Because bookshops, probably hate Amazon even more than other people do. Because it's been a real, challenge for them. So, using something like Ingram Spark, where you've got other options, it is fed through distribution, it's out there to retail, but also then you can get the copies yourself at cost price, and you've got an opportunity then to sell them, as we were talking. That was one of the questions recently, them
I've just been stocked in a bookshop in Linlithgow, and excellent. I'm about to traipse around the independent bookshops here in Edinburgh with my document. On all of that, I wouldn't have known if you hadn't have helped me that's how you do it. But I really want to see my book in one of the independent bookshops in Edinburgh. That would be great. But that is, you don't know that. And that's where people were really curious. Hang on a minute, people who had self-published. It was like, how come you've self-published, haven't you, Jen? Like, they were really confused. And then, but you're in Waterson's, you can order it online on W.H. Smith's. So I was like, you can. As well. The other question I get asked now and again is there a bit of a snobbery around, that you haven't gone through a publisher and you've self-published to people? And my answer to that is, when you have bought a book, do you pay attention to the publisher? No, I don't look at who publishes it. It's just the book. So I think a lot of people actually might not even know I've self-published. Only sort of my kind of community does, and people, because I talk about it. But if someone was to buy my book, I don't think they would know I've self-published.
And it's the little things that that we do around that, with your publishing imprint, tonic titles is your
see what I've done there.
So and that's the thing, is that just those little bits. And the fact that that's always something that we were, definite from the very start, we ever got involved, 10 years ago, is that your book had to look on the bookshelf, if it was sitting in Waterston's, actually on the shelf, that nobody should be able to pull that off and go, well, that's a shame. There's a wee hand-knitted effort that somebody's kind of put up there. It has to look professional, and it's really, really important. Even if you are doing it yourself, then think, like Jen said, think about it as definitely being part of your business, because if you wouldn't turn up to go to a networking event or go and speak on the stage and just turn up in your scruffs. you know, kind of thing, if that's what, if, you know, you're going to, unless you're a painter and decorator and that's your trade route, but you know, you're going to come in and make the effort to kind of like to present yourself how you want the, you know, the world there to see you, and the same thing has to be done then, you know, with your book.
And that's why people like, so it came out just before Christmas. Everyone said it was a Christmas present for their friends and family, so loads of people bought its presents. So if you've got an amateur looking book, it wouldn't look like a good present. So this was another thing that you know, I was really surprised at, but because it looks professional, so it's the whole package. Your content could be absolutely amazing, but if you've not polished it off, it just takes the edge off. And it's a subconscious thing. People don't do that consciously. Subconsciously, they're like, oh, something's not adding up here. I know I've done that when I've downloaded something on Kindle and the PDF and I can't see it. I don't even read it. The content's probably amazing, but I can't see it.
I mean, Isla was just saying there that, you know, that I think it's only the publishers who are snobbish about self-publishing. Yes, that's certainly true. And I've been knocking the doors of various organisations in Scotland for a long time. We are members of Publishing Scotland, and every opportunity I get, because you know, there is still a kind of them and us a bit goes on. You know, you look at all these things, and it's things like funding available to various things, and you get always the small print not available for self-publishing. And honestly, the number of times that I'm arguing the toss with this, you know, with people like Creative Scotland, with some of the funders. I mean, Alliance of Independent Authors is a big UK-based organisation that are really there to kind of like promote the rights for people. Because at the end of the day, you're just choosing. You're choosing to keep ownership and control of your book. You know, nobody tells an artist to paint something that they can only paint something and put it out if they've got a gallery that's prepared to actually host it. The same thing that happened with music, you know, years ago when the, you know, musicians decided to take ownership of their own music and put their, you know, put stuff out in their own, under their own labels. So, you know, it's
then if they want to keep the publishing, they need to do a better job. So like I said, I pitched it to loads of publishers. I got that manual, the writers directory. And I circled everyone who I was going to send it to. Loads of people didn't reply. Like I said, I was happy if I got a polite no. It's not a problem at all. I wasn't looking for that. But I had one publisher came back to me and said, oh, there's not much call for this kind of thing. Like stress management and mental health. There's not much call for it right now. Like, what planet are you on? I was like, just say no, you don't like it, you don't want it. It's just like another world they're in. And for me, you know, working class background, like you used to think publishers and publishing is just this elite world. And my dad cried when he got this book. He was like, I used to read other people's books and now you've written a book. You know, it's like it was another world for authors and people to write a book. You know, and you had to know someone, you had to have loads of money and have a massive investment. And I'm like, well, no, anyone can write a book now. You know, if you've got something to say. So like own it is what I would say. Definitely self-publish.
Absolutely. So it's like a perfect way to, you know, to kind of like open it up to the rest of the audience then around, you know, just has anybody got a question that they would like to ask? I'd like to either myself or Jen about you know, what is that we've not covered so far. By all means, you can just put it in the chat.
I like that what Keith said. Yeah, you do judge a book by its cover. I do.
That is the thing. Everybody, you know, that always, don't judge a book, but and absolutely everybody. That's the first
if
thing.
There was a spelling mistake on this front cover, you'd judge me, right? You'd be like, I'm not reading that book. It's terrible.
Oh, Claire's got a question. Okay, well, do you want to? You can unmute yourself, Claire. Then we'll.
Okay.
There you go.
Would didn't the Author Scotland publish anything that's been published, maybe print on demand? Because there is a book, there was mistakes in it, and of course Publish America never done anything about it. The original manuscript had gaps in it, but they're out of business now as far as I know. But it would have been nice to do it with photographs. There's a couple of relations I've not seen in a long time. They've got one photo in particular that one of the stories in. It's a child's autobiography I was wanting to publish again. And although a lot of people have read it before, it was years and years before I joined in Authors Scotland. So would you publish anything that had been published if it was over 10 years ago? 2007 it came out. Still online.
Okay, thanks. I'll mute you and I'll answer that, because the answer is, if anybody has had anything published before, here's an issue as well. Publishers can go out of business, as that's just happened with Clay. And publishers go out of business, and your book kind of disappears. So even if a traditional publisher has taken it and they've published it, if they haven't transferred rights and stuff back to you, and you don't have, and often you don't have files, you don't have the copies, they don't give you them, then your book sort of disappears, and it might just go out of print, and it basically vanishes off the face of the earth. That happens, and it's tragic. It's happened not that so long ago. Recently, there was one of the big Scottish publishers went out of business, and there was a huge issue for some current writers kind of trying to scrabble about and get their books back. So yes, we can republish things, and sometimes we'll have people who've come to us who have self-published themselves. Who've done that, kind of go to Amazon, put it up, and then they've realised, or they've just found out about us, because they didn't know we existed. Sometimes we're the best kept secret, which isn't always a good thing. So they've come along and said, could we republish something that they've already done with, like, say, a new cover, something that looks, a lot more professional, and that'll help it stand out. And maybe then it's maybe also about editing and doing a little bit of work on the inside. So it's always possible. You can then issue either second editions of something, or some cases it's just like pull that first book off, out of Amazon, and yeah, we republish stuff. So it's definitely possible. Deborah asking, can you publish a book based on blogs that have already been published? Mm-hmm. Yes, you can. In fact, we've got a couple sitting over there on the shelf. The Wee Ginger Dug, anybody who might have remembered during the Scottish referendum, the independence referendum a few years ago, there was a chap who wrote a whole lot of blogs, very pro-independence, and it was the Wee Ginger Dug that wrote the articles, and he had his whole website, and it was all these blogs, and he actually then published 2 volumes of those blogs that had been, and literally just lifted the blogs as, there wasn't really any, there was then a bit of a foreword added and a little bit of a conclusion at the end of it, but it was basically harvesting everything that had been there and putting them into books. And they actually sold really well, because you might wonder about if something's on a blog, and somebody could actually just go online and read on his website, because he didn't take them off the blog, but he did. So definitely it's possible. Deborah just asked. So I'll say, you did, right? So you did publish your blogs. So I think you had said something earlier, but I missed. There was comments and stuff going. Do you want to unmute yourself, Eileen? Tell us a little bit about yours. Oh, sorry. I think I just moved. There you go.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I was just typing it out, but it would be quicker to talk about it. I had breast cancer in 2017, and during that year I was writing a blog post about the experience, about all of the treatment, etc. And it had a great reach. Actually, it had a really, really great response, and at the end of the year, friends said to me, you should write a book. And I was saying, what's the point of writing a book with all the blog posts that have just been put up online for free? Mm-hmm. So what I ended up doing was adding material, probably a little bit more than Wee Ginger Dug. So the blog, it was kind of, I didn't actually just copy and paste the blog posts, but I did definitely repurpose them and then intersperse them with added chapters. So yeah, it was definitely a book built on the blog, but with added value.
And has that, have you gone on to write anything else, or?
No, well, I've been writing a novel for 11 years. And my husband just said to me just tonight, actually, he said, maybe put that on the back burner and write something else.
So maybe you've been inspired tonight to go and write something else. Or
actually, it's the whole thing about writing a book for business, because I have my own business, and I just think that, Gin, this is definitely inspirational, writing a book from the business point of view about the things that definitely to sort of be another string to your bow in the business. It's great, Gin. So yeah, thank you.
So what's your business? We can give you a little plug while we're on here as well.
I'm an editor and writer. I'm actually an editor, so this is a great place for me to plug my work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we need to have a conversation after this then. So yeah, that's the thing. Is just you could be writing a book about, write the book about editing. There's the challenge that everybody has. But yeah, it's so that absolutely you should focus something that could actually like raise your profile, bring something to you, something that would be. Here's the thing. What people need to know, the things that people need to know that never think about when they're editing, not necessarily the technical aspects, because there's lots of books out there you can look at the technical. Everybody always argues about how things have changed over the years and grammar's changed and structures changed. But for me, the things that when people come, and I read lots of books that people have come to, and you look right away and you think, have you done any edit at all? Have you thought about it? And there's the whole, from the structure to how it's put together to then into the whole range of editing rules right through to the kind of detail of the proofreading. So some sort of overview, some sort of guide, some would probably be useful.
Thank you for the idea.
Fine. Just come back and talk to me when you want to publish it. That's
will do. Thank you.
Thanks, Isla. So anybody else? We've got another kind of 5 minutes or so. And that's what Deborah's saying. She had a plan for a book. The first year of owning a camper van, the things that you didn't know. Oh, yeah. Any aspirations for a camper van, Jen? No.
I'm a glamping kind of person. I need a hotel and a hot shower, so no camper vanning for me. But then what you're saying about subjects of book, there is an audience for your subject, however obscure you think it is. So like people could say, mental health, people want a book on that. But people want a book on the first year of owning a camper van. There's loads of camper van buyers out there. Like you wouldn't think there's these little niches that someone will read your book. Someone's going to read it. And I think if you go in with the mindset, like I went in with the mindset, I'm not planning to make loads of money off the book, the book itself. Yeah. That's not going to make me millions. And I think even really published, really published authors say that as well. Like that isn't what, it's everything that goes around it. Yeah. That is, if you're thinking of generating money from a book, because people say to me, oh, Gin, 1999, you must be making loads of money. I'm like, no, I'm not. And that isn't what I set out to do, not on the book, but that from the knock-on effect. Yeah. And just like I said, it's the credibility that I wanted for. So if you go in with that mindset, there's someone out there that wants to read your book. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Whatever niche you've got. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, sometimes the smaller the niche, the easier it is actually then to sell and market your book, because you know exactly who you're talking to. The thing is, when people come and they've got something that's really, I've just written a book on, what would you take? I've written a book on knitting, right? There we are. I've got, how to knit a jumper. Who you want? Everybody's going to want to knit a jumper, and you're going, well, I don't. So it's not really going to suit me. But if you find the group of knitters that are always sitting in the cafes together, sitting there clacking away, and you go, well, I'm writing a book for the women who sit in the cafe together and actually all sit and knit. So it's knit and natter, and while some, and there might be great ideas. We've got stories as well as the patterns in there. The stories that people were telling each other as they were knitting, what they were actually. Suddenly you could see that, all right, okay, maybe we could niche that down a little bit, and we've got something that's there. So don't be scared of it. And the thing is as well that your first go at writing something won't be what ends up in your book. Because like Jen, you also were reading stuff and changing it, so you're not going to the editor the first time. The worst thing that happens with me is someone comes to me and they've never let anybody else read it. They've written it, this is their first go at it, and they think that it's ready to go. And you're looking at it thinking, and I'm having to be ever so gently explaining to them that there's quite a bit of work maybe needed to go from the whole self-edit stuff right through to then, the kind of professional level. But
yeah, that's the hard work bit. And that's where I know the editor you gave me, Kim, Amy, she said, yes. Oh, it was a good book, Jen. She goes, I learned something as I was editing it. Yeah. So she said it was almost a pleasure to edit.
Yeah,
because she could see one things I had done is, which I now take note of when I write other things. She said I'd use the word just about 400 times. She goes, I've edited about 127, Jane, but you're going to have to do the rest yourself. So yeah, I know all the other words for just. But or take them out completely. But
and we've all
really
got
powerful.
words. We've all got words that we use. We've got words and phrases that we use. I mean, I think Sinclair always laughs at me because everything for me is partly fabulous. Everything's fabulous, and she goes, "It's fabulous, it's fabulous." And even when I write something down, I'm always like, he's like, "For goodness sake, you not think another word." I like fabulous. But when you're reading it, and when someone else is reading it, they see it. That's the beauty of an editor. And Deborah's just saying, what everyone needs to do, is come on a writer's retreat. You learn so much. Has so many new ideas to share about Beatrix the Collie and her book. Deborah was on. We did a writer's retreat at Seamill Hydro recently, and it was a wonderful weekend. Deborah was there. So, and we were talking about potentially maybe doing some others, because that was a fiction. It was based around fiction, but we may actually maybe look at doing some others. Thinking, because we've got people who are doing memoirs, or maybe even sort of businessy book. Kind of come and get your head around what it is that you're going to write, because I think this is one of the things that maybe people don't think about. You're still having to tell a story. Even if you are writing something that is quite technical, or you're trying to get across your expertise and your knowledge, but you still have to write it in such a way that you're going to engage the reader. So there is an element of storytelling that's still needed, just to kind of engage people. So we might do some more writers' retreats at Seamill and some other things. So here we are, almost 8 o'clock. There we go. We've had some good chat. If anybody does want to come and have a chat with me about the potential of something that you're working on, if you just want to bounce some ideas around, we had Nikki had the link up in there for my free appointment booking system. If you have enjoyed it tonight, we will be sharing out the video later on. So if you found this useful, then again, we appreciate the shares too, because then other people get to know us. And if anybody's feeling a little bit stressed, I can recommend a really good book. If you're stressed about not writing your book, or stressed about how it's having difficulty.
Thanks for the plug, Kim.
You're very welcome. So can I say thank you so much, Jen. It's a pleasure as always, having a chat with you.
Actually, it was great. I just love having a chat. So yeah, and the same for me. If you want any help or advice, just send me a message. If I can write a book, anyone can.
So thank you so much, everybody. We will be back at some point next month. I don't know when exactly, for another. Probably will manage to try and squeeze in another online event. I think we're going to do a book launch for our the lockdown books that we did, which is called, oh goodness me, that escapes me right this minute. All Sorts, that's what it is. All Sorts. It was the book from our creative writing club. So we're going to do a little kind of online launch for them in the next couple of weeks, and then we will be live in Largs. It's not at Seamill Hydro this time up the road. We'll be at the Brisbane Hotel doing a kind of little event to kind of celebrate 10 years in self-publishing, and a little bit of a showcase with some people here. So it would be lovely to see some of you there. So thank you so much. Go off and hopefully have a nice rest of your evening. And I look forward to catching up with you all again soon. So thanks a lot, folks. Bye.
Bye, everyone.